In the heart of Philadelphia stands a red brick building that forever altered the course of history. Independence Hall, a place where bold ideas were spoken, debated, and written into the foundation of a nation. Within these walls, freedom was declared, democracy was designed, and a new experiment in self-government began. This is the story of how one hall became the birthplace of American liberty. Generations have visited this hallowed ground, inspired by the ideals that were once passionately debated within its walls. The lasting legacy of this building continues to shape our understanding of freedom and democracy. With each visit, the essence of Independence Hall reminds us of the courage it took to forge a new nation. Every brick, every portrait, and every echoing voice contributes to the powerful narrative of our nation's birth. As twilight descends, the hall stands as a reminder of the ideals we strive to uphold in our society. It serves not only as a historic landmark, but also as a beacon of hope for the future. Visitors from all walks of life come here to honor the past while dreaming of a brighter future. The spirit of Independence Hall lives on through every conversation that echoes its historic hall. In the mid-1700s, the American colonies were part of the British Empire. Though separated by an ocean, they were bound by British law, British taxes, and British authority. Colonists grew increasingly frustrated by taxation without representation and laws imposed from afar. Tension filled the air. A desire for independence began to spread from town to town, from farms to city streets. The meetings grew larger as colonists gathered to exchange ideas and strategies, united by their shared yearning for freedom. Each town became a hub of revolutionary thought, where voices of dissent echoed from taverns to meeting halls. The tension reached a breaking point when colonists decided to stand their ground against British troops, their hearts swelling with courage. In the shadows of the night, a pact was formed, a promise to fight for their rights and their future. In a bold act of rebellion, the Boston Tea Party ignited passions across the colonies, symbolizing their refusal to accept unjust taxation. Emotions ran high as the once peaceful waters of the harbor became a stage for defiance. In 1775 and 1776, representatives from the colonies gathered in Philadelphia inside Independence Hall, where voices of reason, passion, and courage collided. These men, farmers, lawyers, merchants, thinkers, would become known as the Founding Fathers. They understood the risk. Declaring independence from Britain meant treason, punishable by death. Yet they chose to debate the future of freedom. In the dim light of the hall, debates raged on each delegate, weighing the cost of freedom against their allegiance to the crown. The air was thick with tension, and every voice echoed the hope of a new nation that sought to break away from tyranny. They debated long into the night, united by a common goal, but divided by fear of retribution. With each passing hour, they grew more resolute, knowing that their names would forever be etched in history, either as heroes or traitors. On July 4th, 1776, history was made. The Declaration of Independence was approved inside Independence Hall. Drafted primarily by Thomas Jefferson, the document proclaimed that all men are created equal and endowed with unalienable rights, life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness. With bold signatures, the colonies declared themselves free and independent states. The American Revolution was no longer a protest. It was a declaration of nationhood. As the news of independence spread, citizens took to the streets, celebrating their newfound freedom with joy and fervor. In public squares, patriotic songs echoed, and fireworks illuminated the sky, marking a significant turning point in history. The Founding Fathers, gathered in solemn assembly, penned their names to a document that would forever alter the course of a nation. In the wake of independence, communities buzzed with discussions about liberty and governance, reflecting a mix of excitement and uncertainty about the future. On battlefields across the colonies, General George Washington rallied his troops, the flag of freedom, inspiring courage and unwavering resolve among the soldiers as they prepared to defend their new nation. Independence did not come easily. War followed declaration. For 8 long years, the colonies fought the most powerful empire on earth. Soldiers endured freezing winters, hunger, and uncertainty. Victory required sacrifice, but the dream of freedom proved stronger than fear. With each passing season, the cost of freedom weighed heavily on their shoulders. Friends became brothers in arms, united by a fierce resolve to break free from tyranny. As winter faded into spring, the promise of victory began to flicker on the horizon. In the face of daunting odds, alliances were forged and strategies devised. The spirit of revolution ignited across the land as hope surged like a tide against oppression. Each soldier knew that they fought not just for their own lives, but for the generations yet unborn. As the battles raged on, the stakes grew ever higher, fueling an unyielding passion for liberty. Amidst the sorrow and sacrifice, the resolve to achieve independence only deepened. Leaders emerged, guiding their compatriots through moments of despair toward the promise of a brighter future. After victory, a new challenge emerged: how to govern a nation. The first attempt, known as the Articles of Confederation, created a weak central government. The states remained powerful, but unity proved fragile. The young nation needed a stronger framework. The weaknesses of the Articles became apparent as states acted independently, leading to economic turmoil and internal strife. Leaders recognized that without a cohesive strategy, the dream of a united nation would slip away. In response, a convention was called, bringing together the brightest minds of the era to forge a new vision for governance. It was here that the foundations of a stronger, more unified nation began to take shape. As debates raged on about representation and rights, a compromise emerged that would balance state interests with federal authority. The signing of the Constitution marked a pivotal moment, setting the stage for a new era in American governance. With the Constitution ratified, the next challenge unfolded: protecting the rights of citizens. The Bill of Rights was introduced, ensuring that individual freedoms would not be overshadowed by government power. In 1787, delegates returned to Independence Hall. This time, their mission was not independence, but structure. For months behind closed doors, they debated fiercely. Large states versus small states. Federal power versus state rights. Representation, taxation, executive authority. The future of democracy hung in the balance. Tensions ran high as the delegates grappled with fundamental questions that would shape the nation. Compromises were proposed, alliances formed, and divisions deepened. Every voice mattered, yet every decision carried weight, influencing the course of history. As days turned into weeks, the air thickened with urgency. The delegates faced not just the challenge of governance, but the responsibility of laying the foundation for a nation that would endure through the ages. Amid the late-night debates, breakthroughs began to emerge. Voices once drowned out found clarity, and the spirit of compromise began to take root, setting the stage for the birth of a new government. Finally, after intense negotiation and collaboration, a consensus was reached. The delegates stood united, knowing that what they had created would shape the future for generations to come, marking the dawn of a new era in American democracy. The result was the United States Constitution, a revolutionary document establishing three branches of government: legislative, executive, and judicial. A system of checks and balances designed to prevent tyranny, creating a government not of kings, but of laws. Signed within these walls, the Constitution became the blueprint for American democracy. As the ink dried on the parchment, a new era dawned for the people, empowering them with rights and responsibilities. Citizens rallied together, celebrating a government designed to serve the many, not the few, paving the way for future generations. In towns and cities across the nation, citizens gathered to discuss and uphold the values set forth in the Constitution. United by their commitment to democracy, they embraced their role in shaping a just society where every voice mattered. With each election, the spirit of democracy was tested and strengthened as citizens exercised their hard-won right to vote. The legacy of the Constitution inspired countless movements for equality and justice, echoing its commitment to liberty for all. Soon after, the Bill of Rights was added, guaranteeing freedoms of speech, religion, press, and assembly. These rights became the voice of the people. They transformed political philosophy into living reality. As these rights took root, communities flourished with the exchange of ideas and passionate debates. People began to unite, advocating for their voices to be heard in democratic processes. In every corner of the burgeoning nation, conversations about liberty and justice sparked innovation and creativity. The essence of democracy was felt in every trade, every discussion, and every written word. With the press now free, a wave of information spread across the land, empowering citizens to stay informed and challenge authority. Conversations turned into movements as the people's voices rang louder than ever. Public forums became platforms for expression where every citizen had a stake in the dialogue. Confidence grew among individuals who were inspired to rise and advocate for their shared ideals. The ideas born in Independence Hall did not remain in America. They traveled across oceans, inspired revolutions, shaped constitutions. The belief that governments derive power from the consent of the governed reshaped global history. Across the Atlantic, the spark ignited fervent cries for freedom in France, where revolutionaries rallied for justice and equality. In distant lands, leaders converged to discuss these revolutionary ideals, united by the aspiration for democracy and self-governance. The fervor spread like wildfire, reaching the shores of South America, where the cry for independence erupted against colonial rule. In candle-lit rooms, visions of freedom were solidified as nations penned their own constitutions, inspired by the ideals forged in Independence Hall. In Asia, the spirit of rebellion surged forth as crowds flooded the streets demanding change and justice beneath a sky vibrant with symbols of hope. Meanwhile, in Africa, leaders gathered in parliamentary halls, passionately debating the foundations of newly formed governments, inspired by the echoes of liberty that traversed continents. Today, Independence Hall stands preserved as a symbol of courage and vision. Visitors walk the same floors where freedom was debated. They stand where independence was declared. It is not merely a building, it is a reminder of what bold ideas can achieve. As visitors step inside, the echoes of passionate discussions about liberty and justice resonate through the air, illuminating the spirit of the Founding Fathers. Each corner of this historic building tells a story, inviting those who enter to connect with the ideals that sparked a revolution. As the sun sets, Independence Hall stands proud, a beacon of hope and inspiration for all who seek to understand the essence of liberty. In every sunrise, there is a promise of freedom. And in every lesson shared here, the legacy of independence lives on, fostering the leaders of tomorrow. The blend of history and contemporary life around Independence Hall serves as a reminder that the pursuit of freedom continues shaping our collective journey. Every touch upon these sacred texts evokes a sense of responsibility, urging each person to carry forth the ideals of democracy and courage. Within these red brick walls, a nation was born. Independence Hall teaches us that freedom begins with thought, courage, and unity. It reminds us that even a single room can change the destiny of millions. Here, democracy found its voice. And from this hall, the idea of liberty echoed across the world. In this hallowed space, voices rose and ideas clashed as men from different colonies united for a common cause. Their arguments inspired not only a nation, but awakened a dream that would cross oceans and generations. Each word penned here carried the weight of ambition, hope, and the enduring spirit of freedom. Today, this historic site stands not just as a monument, but as a beacon of inspiration for people around the globe. It invites all to remember the sacrifices that paved the way for freedom, and to continue the conversation about what liberty truly means. Each visitor leaves with a piece of that legacy, eager to contribute to the ongoing story of democracy.